Perched atop the neutral moon, Sanctum 7, Nexus Prime Academy was a veritable citadel of interspecies collaboration, a notion slightly absurd when considering its students devoted themselves to discovering increasingly inventive methods of obliterating one another. Equipped with the most advanced military training resources across 3 star systems, including adaptable gravity settings, atmospheric simulators, and safety features guaranteeing even Terran insurance companies would be astonished. This investment was necessary considering the Academy's diverse student demographic included entities with the ability to permeate physical objects, expertly reshape crystal matrices using mental prowess, and unleash focused energy blasts from fingertips, while safety becomes a hazy concept. Foresighted Academy engineers implemented energy suppressors, kinetic shields, and aid stations every 50 millisecunds, but failed to foresee recruiting a human leader. Vexthul's mandibles clicked, an equivalent to pondering as he analyzed recent mishap reports. His chitinous shell reflected the office's light as compound eyes captured the training area's displays. Damage assessments. 3 sparring mats utterly demolished, 2 gravity generators temporarily disabled, and 1 bewildered maintenance crew desperately trying to extract a punching bag from a reinforced wall. Elucidate once more, he inquired of his aide, Lieutenant Querix, how a solitary freshman student achieved greater property destruction in a single semester than the entire preceding graduating class. Querix's antenna twitched anxiously. Regrettably, sir, the human appears to lack a fundamental grasp of moderation. During training simulations, the human's moniker is Jenna Morrison, sir, though her peers often dub her Tank. Vexthul's mandibles clicked with escalating annoyance. And what inspires this designation? He inquired. Her momentum resembles that of a tank, sir, and her stopping capability is similarly formidable. The commander accessed Morrison's file, observing her holographic likeness revolve above his desk. She possessed a deceptively unassuming appearance for a Deathworld native. A human of moderate stature, a sturdy physique, a close-cropped auburn hairstyle, and a subtle, knowing smile played on her lips, hinting at her amusement with the cosmos. Her psych profile showcased sharp intellect, remarkable adaptability, and the Terran military's diplomatically termed assertive approach to challenges. Her scores were astounding. Vexthul conceded reluctantly, reaching the zenith of tactical acumen, exhibiting unrivaled mechanical proficiency, and demonstrating astonishing linguistic dexterity, as she had already mastered Standard Galactic and quickly learned Valyrian High-Speak, a fact that deeply irritated the Valyrian establishment, yes sir. The commander snapped the file shut, a decisive gesture. Morrison meeting stat. Gotta grasp the situation before she unintentionally raises the whole place. Meanwhile, Complex 7, Jenna Morrison's normal workout, is underway. Fellow trainees, wisely barricaded, might differ. Her warm-up, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, is child's play back home. Alas, nobody informed the facility censors about human exercise quirks. Weren't meant to trigger emergency protocols warning. Seismic disturbances registered at Training Complex 7. The facility's AI intoned serenely, initiating structural analysis. Jenna halted her burpees, sweat glistening on her brow despite climate regulation. It's just me, Nexus, engaging in human activities. But query, are human activities a variant of tectonic warfare? Exclusively on Tuesdays, she resumed her exercise, oblivious that her routine was being live-streamed to the Academy's Xenobiology department as a Deathworld physiology case study, by Professor Lithara. Ethereal Zephyrian, gifted with the power to traverse solid matter, observed with rapt attention as Jenna executed her third set of pull-ups on a bar engineered for twice her mass. Extraordinary, the professor commented to her aide. Observe her impeccable form despite the augmented gravitational forces. Most species would falter in adapting to this dynamic G-force training regimen. Professor, the assistant proposed, shouldn't we notify her that the gravity in her sector is calibrated to 1.3 Gs? That's quite an amplified intensity. Excellent observation, Nexus. What gravity parameter is Morrison currently undergoing training at? The standard gravitational constant within Training Complex 7, sir. Lithara's perfected phase-shifted form betrayed a flicker of astonishment. An elite-level setting. How long has she endured such intense training? A mere 6 weeks since arrival. The human desired more familiar surroundings. The professor meticulously documented this, enhancing her expanding file on human adaptability. Initial skepticism towards Deathworlder capabilities, dismissed as frontier exaggeration, had dissolved. Morrison presented a captivating case study. The human's nonchalant disregard for environmental adversities that would cripple most species underscored Earth's true Class 10. A perilous world might surprisingly lean traditional. Back at the training facility, Jenner progressed to combat drills. The Academy's combat doctrine championed sophisticated conflict, energy weaponry, protective shields, and meticulous technical combat minimizing physical engagement. It was all remarkably graceful, exceptionally polished, and utterly unlike the brutal close-quarters combat ingrained in her since youth. She faced a training mannequin replicating Valyrian anatomy, scrutinizing its crystalline composition, striving to recall the instructor's discourse on it. Calculated force implementation. The Valyrians revered their martial heritage, seeing conflict as an elevated art encompassing finesse, accuracy, and unmatched technological dominance. Their combat doctrine prioritized range management and favored sophisticated resolutions to base challenges. Jenner unleashed a strike. The training construct disintegrated, not spectacularly. No fiery eruption or sparking fragments. It just lost structural integrity. Its crystalline framework was incapable of assimilating the dynamic force of what the human. A mere touch sent shards flying across the training floor, and emergency alarms blared instantly, indicating catastrophic equipment malfunction. Dispatching maintenance ASAP. I barely grazed it, Jenna murmured, inspecting her hands, finding no marks. Shrugging, she advanced to the next combat simulation unit, designed to replicate the resilient, plasma-resistant hide of a Thrakari. Deciding on a fresh angle, she chose the brutal technique her former drill instructor always advocated. A gentle solar plexus nudge caused the dummy to buckle completely, definitely unintended. By the time maintenance arrived, Jenna decimated 6 training dummies, each representing a distinct alien species, all succumbing to her subtly refined human combat methods. Torre, a weary Grundak maintenance chief, surveyed the scene, his expression reflecting countless recent equipment failures. Let me guess. He rumbled in his species' distinctive guttural growl. The human was present. I was striving for discretion. Jenna demurred is discreet, the same as ordinary discreet Toth indicated, the fragmented remnants of what were formerly 6 premium training dummies. Seemingly, the repair crew mobilized with seasoned precision as Jenna withdrew to the observation platform where fellow students had assembled to observe the daily display of human exertion. The cohort encompassed delegates from a majority of the Academy's menagerie, a skittish assembly of Zephyrins, phasing out with every glance from Jenna. Aloof Valyrians, radiating icy superiority, and a few Thrakari, caught between scientific fascination and stark terror. "She's evolving rapidly," murmured Keth, a Valyrian sophomore from a 17-generation military lineage. His usually clear skin now bore a stressed, deep azure tinge, his inner luminescence flickering wildly. "That's utterly impossible," Zephylos countered. "She's only been here 6 weeks. Genuine physical acclimation demands rigorous training cycles." "Try explaining that to the training tech." They watched, mesmerized, as Jenna began her cool-down, light stretching interwoven with what seemed effortless banter with the maintenance crew. This human's natural rapport with the blue-collar Grundax mystified the more elitist students, who rigidly upheld social strata even within academic circles. Last week, Kadvar decimated an arm wrestling match in under 30 seconds, leaving onlookers stunned. The Grundax are legendary for their raw power, making her victory almost unreal. Since then, Torag has treated her with devout respect, clearly developing a crush, though he'd never admit it. In his culture, physical dominance is paramount, so someone who effortlessly overpowers a Grundax while remaining courteous earns immense respect. And the fact she generously bought drinks for his entire crew solidified her legendary status, solidified her legendary reputation in maintenance. Session's end saw students drift dormward, but Zepha Kololthane lingered, a Valyrian of fluid grace, aristocratic disdain etched on his crystalline face. Unlike awestruck students, Zepha viewed Morrison with calculating coldness, her triumph a personal insult. For over 3 millennia, the esteemed Coltane family had reigned supreme in Valyrian society, their name a byword for both unparalleled military prowess and exquisite cultural sophistication. Zephyr arrived at the academy, anticipating etching his own glorious chapter into his family's saga, perhaps even attaining the esteemed title of Prime Exemplar, the zenith of achievement for any graduate. But then, a Deathworlder materialized, initiating utter chaos. It wasn't merely the defilement of the training apparatus, as infuriating as that was. Morrison's blatant disdain for the Academy's meticulously crafted social order jeopardized the very foundations of their world. Zephyr grasped protocol, treating maintenance as peers, showing no deference to senior students, and seemingly unaware of the intricate species-based social hierarchy permeating Academy life. "Barbarian," he seethed in High Valyrian, his inner light flickering with barely suppressed annoyance. Ironically, Jenna had mastered High Valyrian far beyond her records, undermining Zephyr's self-importance. She glanced toward the observation deck, and with a radiant smile she cheerfully waved, exclaiming, "Thank you all. I trust you found those Valyrian pointers helpful." Zephyr's bioluminescence intensified dramatically, flooding the entire observation deck, a telling sign of either profound mortification or deadly fury, perhaps a potent cocktail of both. As he stormed off, crystalline fists clenched tight, Zephyr meticulously plotted his next moves. The Academy's prestigious Grand Melee Tournament, a formal stage for students to showcase their skills, was fast approaching, demonstrating superior combat skills before military recruiters and family. It was the ideal setting to emphasize the distinction between advanced species and savage Deathworlders. Jenna concluded her stretches and prepared her equipment, oblivious to creating an enemy. In her view, overly serious individuals typically resolve their problems. Besides, how much harm could a noble alien inflict? As she went to shower, the Academy's AI recorded another note, its expanding compendium of human behavioral models, now impressively voluminous, brims with insights, potentially revolutionizing interspecies dynamics, should anyone actually delve into it. The AI, in its toneless digital cadence, observed, "Human subject demonstrably surpasses established norms for mortality comprehension. Immediate reassessment of safety regulations and interpersonal conduct directives is warranted. Furthermore, a significant augmentation of training apparatus resources is strongly advised." In the periphery, piercing sirens shrieked as the Jenner incident was brought to light, had miraculously shattered the reinforced flooring in Complex 7. Just another thrilling day at Nexus Prime Academy, where the most perilous thing wasn't advanced weaponry, but an unsupervised human near-exercise equipment. Dinner time at the Academy unfolded in its standard, meticulously chaotic fashion, with hundreds of students from myriad species navigating the intricate social landscape of interspecies dining. The cafeteria, naturally, was a design-by-committee disaster, elucidated its striking resemblance to an intricate three-dimensional labyrinth fused with a sophisticated diplomatic forum, diverse atmospheric sectors tailored to accommodate varied respiratory demands, while bespoke nutrient synthesizers provisioned everything from photosynthetic ethereals to the ravenous apex predators hailing from the outer rim territories. Jenna had secured her customary perch at a neutral intersection table, configured for species sharing comparable environmental requisites. She'd resolved to steer clear of the Valyrian precinct, subsequent to an ill-fated episode concerning a substance she misconstrued as mere flavoring, later identified as a subtle neurotoxin. Furthermore, the less elaborated upon her indulging in Zapirian gastronomy, Morrison Torset's resonant voice echoed through the cafeteria as the Grundig maintenance chief strode over, dinner in hand, a protein block resembling fortified plate armor. "Rumor has it, you shattered the floor plates 7 times today. Purely accidental, I presume?" Jenna responded, mid-bite into something the dispensers brazenly called Terran Sky Delight nutritional paste. "Just a little light cardio," she mumbled. "Light cardio," Torset repeated, tusks gleaming with mirth. "You do recall the engineering specifications, don't you? On that flooring, purportedly impervious to direct plasma cannon strikes, a possible defect, or perhaps humanity's formidable nature exceeded expectations." Their discourse ceased with the arrival of Professor Lithara, her phase-shifted form solidifying into view as she neared their table. The Zephyrian scholar exuded a dignity befitting her stature, yet Jenna observed a maintained, respectful distance, a lesson ingrained after the infamous sparring debacle of Week 3. "Miss Morrison," the professor initiated, voice carrying the melodic quality common to her species, "I anticipated the chance to explore your involvement in our forthcoming Xenobiology Symposium, specifically the discourse on Deathworld adaptation strategies. Indeed, your very existence here has yielded indispensable insights for our species integration research. We hold a special fascination with your psychological resilience in low-threat settings." Jenna blinked. "Loar. Well, yeah, contrasted with the formidable environmental pressures of your native planet, the Academy's training protocols must appear rather subdued." Torque sputtered, almost losing his equilibrium. Professor Lithara's visage betrayed a hint of discomposure. "Indeed, we're refining our comprehension of human physicality. A proposition. Grant us initial benchmarks for our inquiry?" Jenner concurred. "Elaborate?" "Fundamental power evaluation, reaction time scrutiny, and, potentially, an exhibition of your species' fighting styles. Safely, of course." Acceptable, Jenner stated, adding, commencement. We propose tomorrow. Preparations are complete. Upgraded testing facility with enhanced safety protocols as the professor vanished. Tor confided to Jenna, she's wagering on the chaos you'll unleash. Savvy folks predict complete facility overhaul. I've bet 50 credits on an interdimensional rift. Jenna chuckled, oblivious to Zephyr Colthane's mounting annoyance from across the cafeteria. The Valyrian scrutinizing her effortless integration with faculty and staff. Structure, even given her apparent unconventionality, it felt off. Military organizations should uphold strict hierarchies, with deference channeled up established command structures. Students respected professors. Professors deferred to administration, and all observed appropriate species-based social norms. Morrison's radically egalitarian relationship philosophy jeopardized the bedrock of civilized order. She's tainting the very essence of Zeo, lamented to his exclusive table of senior Valerians, allies in maintaining social decorum. Indeed, Vex Klain, a third-year buoyed by familial sway within the Academy's student body, concurred. Yet she's also thrusting us into the spotlight. Military recruiters from 17 star systems are clamoring for data on this human experiment. Attention from unsavory elements, Zephyra interjected. Frontier militias, mercenary outfits. Is that the legacy we desire? Even the Terran Defense Force voiced keen fascination, Morak added, noting their kin's diplomatic Valyrian service. They're clearly struck by the Academy's forward-thinking inclusion efforts. Zephyr's glow throbbed with simmering exasperation. This nascent species, barely 5 decades post-contact, already upends galactic norms with brazen protocol disregard. Worse, species adapt, abandoning civilized conformity. Mark my words, he asserted, his tone resonant. With the weight of 17 generations of martial heritage, this won't conclude favorably. Frontier worlds, not academia, are Deathworlder's domain. His cohorts acquiesced courteously, though secretly many wondered if Zephyr's staunch traditionalism felt increasingly anachronistic. The cosmos evolved. Burgeoning species entered the civilized consortium, potentially mandating some evolution. Yet none dared utter such rebellious sentiments publicly, as the dinner hour drew to a close, students streamed back toward their residences. Jenna found herself walking beside Cuthvar, the youthful Valyrian, who had been intently watching her training. In contrast to his older relative, Zephyr, Cuthvar displayed a palpable fascination with human abilities. Morrison, he began, his inner light patterns shimmering with nervous energy. Might I pose a query? Sure, what's on your mind? Jenna replied. Is it accurate that your homeworld possesses predators that actively hunt sentient beings? Jenna paused, considering. Define hunt, she prompted. Actively stalk and consume. Intelligent beings as a staple food, no, not exactly. While formidable creatures exist, their aggression is more situational than predatory. Think sharks, bears, or big cats. They might strike if desperate or feeling endangered, but humans aren't their go-to meal. Cuthvar's bioluminescence softened, a subtle sign of relief. That's mildly comforting. Of course, there are drop bears. Imagine vicious marsupials lurking in trees, ambushing the unwary. Incredibly fierce and nearly invisible, their bite could shatter a human skull. The young Valyrian's crystalline features went ashen. That's utterly horrifying. Jenna upheld her solemn facade for a mere 3 seconds, then beamed. I'm pulling your leg drop. Bears are just a tall tale. We spin to spook newcomers. Oh, Cathvar's relief was almost tangible. You possess a rather eccentric wit, just you wait till you experience Spider. Spider season, each autumn, when colossal huntsman spiders embark on their continental mating pilgrimage, the heavens darken with their sheer volume, and they're drawn to motion and thermal signatures. This time, Cathvar was wise enough to discern the ruse. Another myth utterly accurate, though they typically approximate dinner plate dimensions and pose no genuine threat to humans. Predominantly once they arrived near the dormitory complex, Keith had fostered a profound awareness of human communication's intricacies. He additionally grasped why Cousin Zephyr perceived Morrison as disconcerting not from actual peril, but her defiance of conventional alien species comprehension. Categories, upon their separation at the dormitory threshold, Keith anticipated tomorrow's endeavors. Xenobiology Showcase. Unlike Zephyr, who perceived Morrison as a menace to established order, the younger Valyrian was starting to grasp that the human could signify something far more captivating, a chance to broaden their insights into unexplored potentials. Behind them, cloaked in the dorm complex's dimness, Zephyr Colthane concluded his nightly watch with increasing resolve. The Grand Melee Tournament would offer the ideal stage to unveil the supremacy of refined combat methods over barbaric Deathworld tactics. All he craved was the opportune moment to launch a bold challenge. After all, how insurmountable could it be to vanquish a foe who lacked fundamental combat expertise? The unveiling of the Grand Melee Tournament unfurled with the elaborate pageantry so characteristic of military establishments, even for trivial matters like alterations to the dining hall menu. Commander Vextool, his chitinous exoskeleton shimmering under the ornate illumination, addressed the assembled multitude from the podium in the main auditorium, as hundreds of cadets representing a myriad of species packed the amphitheater-style seating. Melee. He vibrated with palpable gravitas, embodying the zenith of scholarly excellence. Here you shall showcase not just fighting ability, but your grasp of sophisticated warfare doctrines. Jenna, nestled in the rear, munched silently on the dispenser's so-called breakfast, resembling repurposed fiberboard. Her pupils buzzed with anticipation of the tourney's renown, the observing military liaisons, and the ample rewards sponsored by diverse galactic defense organizations. Skirmishes will proceed under standard galactic protocols Vexthul. Sustained energy suppressors guarantee a non-lethal confrontation, with medical personnel overseeing participants. Our cutting-edge AI scoring matrix will arbitrate triumph. Professor Lithara shimmered into existence beside Jenna's seat, her partially materialized form startling several students. Miss Morrison, have you contemplated tournament entry? Not particularly, Jenna mumbled through a mouthful of nutritional paste. Seems everyone's dedicated their entire lives to this. Perhaps, she countered, but you've demonstrated phenomenal potential. Adaptability augmenting research insights will prove exceptionally advantageous on stage, Commander Vthul detailed the tourney layout, initial stages, refined the pool to a concise 16 contenders. Thereafter, single elimination playoffs culminating in the ultimate championship clash. Victors secure military accolades, collegiate grants, and crucially, the prestige to echo through their entire professional trajectory. Sign-ups conclude, end of week, the commander proclaimed crucially. This challenge mirrors not solely individual triumph, yet also the distinction of your attributed species. A surge of thrilled fervor engulfed the auditorium as students clustered, strategizing, a hush fell. Eyes darted towards Jenna, a mix of curiosity and palpable dread. "They seem perturbed by your involvement," Professor Lazara noted. "Why? I'm merely a freshman." "Indeed. But you're the freshman who decimated 6 dummies, fractured the floor, and subdued a Grundak, albeit playfully," Lazara countered. Sharing with all who'd hear that you're favored by the machine spirits, the following days saw the academy electrified with tournament prep. Training facilities pulsed incessantly as students honed their species' classic combat styles. Valyrians refined their crystalline blade mastery, graceful moves blending martial arts with advanced tech. Zephyrians mastered phase shift combat, learning to materialize for maximum impact. Picari students amplified energy manipulation. Forecasts unveiled dazzling light spectacles, functioning as formidable weapon demonstrations. Jenna, concurrently, upheld her pattern of inadvertently damaging gear while probing extraterrestrial battle strategies. She'd enrolled in the competition almost casually, primarily driven by Professor Litara's incentive of supplementary points for involvement in her continuous research initiative. The essence of Valyrian warfare, Master Instructor Sidvel elucidated during an exclusive workshop, resides in the synergy between innovation and skill. Our crystalline structures augment innate talents with impeccable command. He moved with ethereal elegance, his spectral figure morphing through intricate patterns of energy control, environmental mastery, and an almost artistic dance. Crystalline structures exploded from the ground, morphing into temporary armaments and shields that faded and rematerialized in flawless harmony. "Exquisite," whispered a student. Jeno queried, "What if someone just lands a punch?" Through the crystal, the instructor's bioluminescence pulsed with bewilderment. "Pardon me, would you mind reiterating that? Crystalline formations. What if an adversary employed raw kinetic force rather than mirroring your energy signatures? Such a tactic would be boorish, unrefined. No sophisticated warrior would resort to such a primitive method. But would it be effective?" Master Sithel's internal light matrix subtly shifted, conveying mild umbrage. "Miss Morrison, Valyrian combat arts have been meticulously honed across eons. They epitomize the zenith of enlightened conflict. Granted, but I'm inquiring about physics. Crystal structures possess inherent fracture planes. Exert sufficient pressure at precise angles, and they'll inevitably shatter, irrespective of energy matrices." The ensuing awkward quiet was punctuated solely by Zephyr Kalulta's audibly sharp inhale. The youthful noble had observed the discussion with increasing resentment, his refined features displaying barely restrained fury. "Conceivably," he articulated, gracefully standing, "certain learners would gain insights from a tangible illustration elucidating the lasting relevance of established methods. Master Scythel's mandibles." Clicked nervously, Mr. Collane stated, "I'm not sure I've formally petitioned for an instructive session with Ms. Morrison to showcase impeccable form, naturally." The training hall fell deathly silent. Formal training petitions held immense weight at the academy, resonating far beyond mere sparring. They were generally employed to settle contentions between students of varied lineages, and a refusal meant a considerable blow to one's reputation. Jenna scanned the abruptly charged room, observing a cocktail of anticipation, and palpable dread washed over her classmates' faces. Why not? If Master Scythel were capable of human expressions, he'd be visibly perspiring. Instead, his feline features betrayed only a flicker of barely contained panic as he initiated the formal sparring protocols. Energy dampeners hummed to life, medical teams were deployed, and the Academy's AI diligently recorded every detail for subsequent analysis. "Standard regulations are in effect," the instructor declared, his voice lacking its customary assurance. "Victory is achieved through submission, incapacitation, or the judge's determination. Combat will persist until won. When participant vulnerability or medical assistance becomes necessary, Zephyr gracefully dominated the training mat, his radiant crystalline features hinting at a calculated hunger. This arena was his forte, structured battles of skill triumphing over raw power. Years sharpened his mastery of refined techniques, channeling energy through crystalline matrices with pinpoint accuracy, whereas Jenna entered with less pomp, loosening up, a stark contrast. Enduring the morning's lectures, she seemed conspicuously underdressed for formal combat, sporting Regulation Academy training attire instead of the ornate ceremonial gear preferred by numerous species. "Commence at your leisure," Master Sithril proclaimed, withdrawing to a presumably secure vantage point. Zephyr instantaneously initiated his opening gambit, a fluid cascade of maneuvers summoning crystalline lances that burst forth from the training mat, encircling Jenna's location. The technique was impeccable, an exemplary display of Valyrian combat prowess that would have captivated even the most seasoned military authorities across the galaxy. Core worlds. Jenna deftly evaded the initial spear, gracefully slipped under the second, and effortlessly shattered the third with her bare hand. The training hall exploded with astonished whispers as shards of fractured crystal rained down upon the mat. Zephyr's bioluminescence pulsed with surprised outrage as his flawless technique was dismissed with seeming nonchalant ease. "Unbelievable," he gasped, frantically reforming his crystalline weapons. "Those matrices are fortified with quantum-linked molecular structures." "Indeed, quite robust," Jenna conceded, scrutinizing a crystal fragment. Hand, yet remained merely crystals. The ensuing clash could scarcely be termed a battle. Zephyr unleashed his full arsenal upon the human. Sophisticated strategies embodying centuries of Valyrian martial heritage, potent energy manipulations that ought to have pulverized any novice, and fighting stances that had cemented his reputation as a rising star among warriors. Jenna approached it as an intriguing enigma, less fighting and more adapting, meticulously dissecting each technique to grasp its essence before devising the optimal strategy to neutralize him. Zephyr, perceiving energy barriers, pinpointed structural flaws. Projectile assaults? She gracefully sidestepped. Intricate crystalline traps? Shattered with surgical force, transforming elegant structures into costly wreckage. "Utterly captivating," Professor Lithara murmured to her assistant. "Observe, she's not battling, but dismantling his very strategies." "In real time, should we cease this experiment?" the assistant inquired anxiously. "Are you deranged? The data we're amassing will fundamentally transform our comprehension of adaptive combat psychology." By the time Master Sithel finally commanded a cessation to the demonstration, Zephyr was gasping, his internal bioluminescence fluctuating wildly with fatigue and aggravation. The training mat resembled a crystal mine eruption, strewn with remnants of his shattered techniques. Jenna, conversely, seemed only slightly fatigued, remaining remarkably unscathed by the ordeal. "Well," she said, offering Zephyr a hand up, "that was insightful. Thanks for the illuminating demonstration." The young Valyrian noble fixed his gaze on her extended hand, as though it were a viper, the unceremonious offer of aid, the utter disregard for his elevated lineage and rigorous training, the flippant tone implying she considered their structured duel merely a trivial lesson. It was simply unbearable. "This is far from finished," he declared, his voice laced with an icy rage that caused several students nearby to recoil instinctively. Jenna simply responded with a nonchalant shrug. "All right, same time tomorrow then." As the training hall gradually emptied, Professor Lithara, brimming with undisguised enthusiasm, approached Jenner. "Miss Morrison, that was exceptional. Your adaptability surpassed all expectations within our predictive models." "Thanks, I suppose. Although I'm unsure precisely what I adapted to." He was practically broadcasting his moves. Broadcasting indeed. The entire crystalline formation sequence spans roughly 3 seconds from inception to manifestation. That's ample time to anticipate his strategy and adjust accordingly. The professor's gaze was intense. His transformed figure pulsed with utter astonishment. You were dissecting his combat style on the fly. "Of course," you retorted. "Isn't that the very essence of a duel?" As Jenna departed for the showers, leaving behind a training ground resembling a post-apocalyptic landscape, Professor Lithara feverishly revised her research. The ramifications were earth-shattering, impacting not only xenobiology, but also military tactics, interstellar diplomacy, and the bedrock principles of galactic society. Unseen amidst the ruins of the training arena, Zephyr Colthan remained shrouded in darkness, silently contemplating the aftermath. Family's age-old techniques, his sharp, ice-like features hardened with unwavering resolve. The Grand Melee Tournament offered a premier stage to assert Valyrian dominance, with official validation and military observers this time. He wouldn't dismiss the Deathworld's raw power. He'd obliterate this disgrace for good. The Grand Melee Finals unfolded, with pomp rivaling a diplomatic gathering. The main arena morphed into a gladiatorial spectacle. A dazzling spectacle unfolded. Holographic displays shimmered, multifaceted commentary teams analyzed every move, and massive betting pools, a quirky academy custom, thrived. Military recruiters occupied prime VIP spots as students overflowed the general seating, their vibrant excitement forming a chorus of clicks, buzzes, chirps, and unique vocalizations. Commander Vexhul, resplendent in gleaming ceremonial armor, commanded the arena's center. Esteemed guests, beings of all sentience, welcome to the grand finale of... As Zephyr Colthan graced the arena at this year's Grand Melee Tournament, the crowd exploded. His crystalline form emanated regal confidence, the product of weeks spent honing ancient Valyrian combat techniques. His family's time-honored armor, with crystalline plates bearing the marks of 17 generations of military distinction, had been upgraded for this pivotal event. In stark contrast, Jenna casually entered the arena in commonplace attire. Training gear jubilantly greeted Tor and his maintenance team, securing prime viewing spots. The Grundak chief brandished a sign. "Tanks obliterate precious stones in 5 languages." Professor Lithara announced, "Our finalists offer a compelling study in contrasts. Zephyr Colthan represents age-old Valyrian combat prowess, whereas Jenna Morrison displays the volatile adaptability of Deathworld species." Her co-commentator murmured a translation. Gristal, a seasoned Thrakari veteran dubbed Gristal the Crystalline, showcased elegant maneuvers, while the humans anticipated costly mishaps. The initial rites commenced with Zephyr's masterful Valyrian Onata, a fluid dance illustrating flawless unity between fighter and weapon, as crystalline shapes materialized around him in calculated geometries, each dissolving and reforming in perfect cadence with his motions. contrasting with Jenna's unconventional jumping jacks warm-up technique, deemed unorthodox by Professor. Lithara noted tactfully that her shoulders seemed more relaxed. Grixel affirmed, astute. At the match's inception, Crystal Boys secured a reach advantage. Zephyr swiftly unleashed his premier technique, the prismatic convergence, a sophisticated combat style generating crystalline duplicates while channeling energy attacks via quantum-folded space. It was stunning, graceful, and according to tactical doctrine, utterly insurmountable. Jenna observed the dazzling display with keen fascination, head cocked as if deciphering a compelling equation. When the focused energy struck, she had already vanished, effortlessly dodging with the finesse of avoiding mere rain. Remarkable adaptive velocity, observed the professor. She's treating this as an intriguing study, not a true battle. Zephyr's frustration escalated. Each meticulously planned technique missed its mark. The human moved with infuriating grace, always evading his blows, never resorting to the brute force retaliation he anticipated. She appeared authentically absorbed in his capabilities, meticulously examining them. He dissected each novel technique with scholarly fascination before pinpointing its inherent flaws. The pivotal shift occurred when Zephyr traded finesse for sheer resolve. His family's legacy mandated triumph, his species' standing necessitated preeminence, and his own pride refused to yield to a crude earthling. In a flash of crystalline inspiration, he grasped that conventional methods were inadequate. He'd have to embrace a more brutal approach. The abduction transpired with blinding speed, undetectable by most species. Zephyr seamlessly phased through his own shield, abandoning crystalline defenses for a relentless primal surge at Jenna's jugular, a brutal, uncouth tactic defying Valyrian martial grace. It was, undeniably, the gravest error. Jenna reacted instinctively, a flawlessly executed grapple honed by countless drills, muscle memory overriding thought. Ignoring the disparity between fragile crystal and resilient bone, she simply moved. The arena reverberated with the sound, defied simple categorization, a fractured crystalline echo, structural failure evident, Zephyr's collarbone, a quantum-bonded crystal lattice, prioritizing aesthetics over resilience, utterly disintegrated. The youthful Valyrian's scream pierced the quiet, like a thermal lance cleaving paper. "Medical emergency in the arena," the AI declared calmly, deploying response teams. Jenna hovered above, bewildered. "Did I err? I believed this to be a non-contact exhibition." Professor Lithara feverishly revised her research, as Grixel unleashed a string of expletives in multiple tongues, prompting the Thrakari veteran to declare, "That's absolutely textbook material." Silence engulfed the arena, save for Zephyr's cries and approaching sirens. Jenna, kneeling beside her injured foe, her face morphing from bewilderment to worry, softly reassured, "Help is coming. Just stay still." Zephyr, tears blurring his vision, gazed up at her, pain and shame evident, witnessing not the brutal Deathworlder he'd envisioned, but genuine concern for his welfare. The revelation stung more than the pain. He'd challenged a human to assert Valyrian dominance, yet discovered the chasm between combat as artistry and combat as stark survival. Nexus Prime Academy's infirmary had treated countless training mishaps, energy scorches, phase shift anomalies, crystalline matrix meltdowns, but never a complete structural failure. Valyrian's premier SEAL support system, Dr. Helixwin, the facility's lead medical officer, hovered over Zephyr's bioregeneration pod, wearing an expression akin to a blindfolded individual attempting to crack a complex 3D enigma. "Intriguing," she uttered, her serpentine form gracefully spiraling around the diagnostic displays. The fracture pattern indicates immediate stress dispersal throughout several quantum-entangled crystal matrices. What manner of force could inflict such devastation? "Human," responded her junior assistant, a youthful Zephion, his unease betrayed by his constant fidgeting. Briefly phasing in and out of view, to be precise, standard human grappling maneuver, lasting about 0.3 seconds. Dr. Hellickson. Scale displayed deep disbelief. "Unfeasible. Valian bone is uniquely resistant to energy blasts. No living strength." She paused, her amazement growing as she examined the data. "The damage is surgically accurate, striking at the key pressure points for total structural collapse." Applying minimal force, it appeared the human had pinpointed crystalline architecture's weak points, exploiting them with textbook precision. "Has anyone questioned her combat training?" the doctor inquired. "Miss Morrison, she's in reception, claiming it was a defensive technique and keeps asking about Mr. Kane." Down the hall, Jenna occupied what the Academy called a waiting room, but resembled an alien furniture display, with chairs designed for anatomically diverse species, creating a seating arrangement. An illogical, uncomfortable arrangement. She quit seeking human-friendly options, leaning against a wall. Amanda Vexel arrived, her pace suggesting momentous tidings, good or bad. Her mandibles clicked, possibly amused, as she occupied a nearby chair, clearly engineered for a multi-jointed being. "Miss Morrison," she started, "we must address the arena incident. Will Zephyr recover fully? I never intended any harm. Catastrophically, but it will recuperate. Valyrian medical tech is incredibly sophisticated. However, anticipate a few weeks of intensive regenerative treatment." The commander hesitated, scrutinizing her face with his multifaceted eyes. "The pertinent question is, did you employ undue force?" Jenna questioned. "Undue force? He assaulted my throat." "Indeed. We've analyzed the footage. Mr. Culthane clearly initiated unwarranted physical aggression. Consequently, my response was a proper, fundamental defensive maneuver. Redirection of the aggressor's momentum, manipulation of their center of gravity, applying leverage at their most vulnerable. The glaring weakness. While Valian bone structure is exquisite, it prioritizes energy distribution over pure impact resilience. The collarbone joint, in particular, is acutely exposed, a compromise between agility and load support." Commander Vexthul's mandibles quickened. "You assessed his skeletal system mid-battle?" "Subconsciously. It's rudimentary anatomy. You instinctively decipher bone density and joint give when cross-species combat is the norm." Jenna offered a nonchalant shrug. "Earth became quite a melting pot." "Biodiversity. You master adaptive techniques for gorillas or deer." This casual remark was profound. Commander Vextul, a veteran student of galactic military tactics, realized human combat training encompassed unparalleled versatility. "Ms. Morrison," he inquired cautiously, "how much restraint did you employ?" "Maximum. It was meant to be a..." "Indeed. My demonstration was precisely calibrated. Inflicting harm was never my intent." The commander's multifaceted eyes fixed upon her, an unsettling scrutiny. "Are you suggesting a conscious restraint during the tournament?" "Precisely. My purpose isn't to maim, but to learn. Furthermore, Zephyr's techniques presented a compelling physics puzzle." Before Commander Vexthul could fully grasp this, Professor Lithara materialized beside them, a fleeting shimmer of displaced energy, her demeanor typically scholarly. composure dissolved into palpable exhilaration. "Miss Morrison," she exclaimed, breathless with enthusiasm. "My analysis of the tournament footage and military training applications is astounding. Your adaptive combat approach could fundamentally reshape interspecies tactical strategy." "I lack a methodology," Jenna countered. "I simply act on instinct." Precisely. That's the brilliance of it. While other species adhere to inflexible combat styles tailored to their specific biology, humans exhibit unparalleled adaptability. Approaches readily adaptable in real time. Commander Vextool's mandibles ceased their clicking, signaling profound contemplation or systemic cascade. "Professor, are you positing that human combat pedagogy diverges radically from established galactic military precepts?" "Not merely divergent, Commander, but markedly superior, particularly regarding malleable adaptation." Professor Lithara's shimmering form radiated intellectual fervor. "Most species cultivate combat methodologies mirroring inherent strengths. Valyrians, for instance, harness crystalline arts. Zephyrians leverage phase manipulation. Thrakari harness energy projection. Logical, Jenna concurred, embrace evolutionary gifts. Yet humans, the professor elaborated, possess no manifest natural dominance. Instead, they pioneered techniques to combat any foe." The revelation hushed the room. Commander Vexthul reassessing lifelong tenets of military preparation and interspecies specialization. Humans consistently trained to confront adversaries with disparate biologies. Advantages unique natural weapons. They mastered countering all combat styles at once, explaining much. Dr. Halix Wind arrived, her serpentine form gliding with urgent grace. "Mr. Colthane is stable. Regenerative therapy proceeds well, though he wants to speak with Ms. Morrison. Is that advisable, Professor Lyara?" "Physically, yes. Psychologically." The doctor's scale now hinted at doubt, a testament to his humbling journey. Perspective recalibration was unavoidable. Zephyr's recovery chamber, a haven tailored for Valyrian bodies, featured resonating crystalline textures attuned to their unique frequencies, meticulously optimized illumination amplifying bioluminescent dialogue, and precisely controlled atmospheric conditions fostering crystalline bone renewal. Yet the young nobleman appeared diminished, his regal aura softened by the clinical implements surrounding him. Visible scaffolding bolstering his mended collarbone, his inner bioluminescence flickered faintly as Jenna arrived, his face devoid of its prior haughtiness. "Morrison," he murmured, "I present my sincerest apology." Jenna dragged over a chair crafted for beings of more limbs than humankind. "For what? For misjudging you? For presuming might equated savagery?" He hesitated, his crystalline visage twisting with palpable unease. "For seizing your throat like a brute, an utterly graceless maneuver. A flawed technique, indeed," Jenna concurred. "With unwavering diplomacy, my lineage has upheld venerable military traditions spanning over 3 millennia, Zephyr articulated, his voice now imbued with newfound gravitas. "We hold honor, discipline, and refined conduct as sacred tenets. Yet confronted with potential failure, I forsook my upbringing, descending into base aggression. We all falter when exasperated. However, your reaction, his bioluminescence momentarily intensified, even amidst my direct assault, was remarkably composed, meticulous, and restrained. You possess the capacity to inflict grievous harm, but you exerted precisely the force needed to neutralize the threat." Jenna pondered this. I suppose, although I still feel remorseful about the collarbone incident. Don't be, Zephyr retorted. It was a valuable learning opportunity. Zephyr's demeanor transformed, hinting at genuine humility. I dedicated weeks to scrutinizing your combat strategies, seeking vulnerabilities to leverage, but my approach was fundamentally flawed. In what way? Jenna inquired. I was fixated on discovering methods to overcome human ferocity. I should have been striving to comprehend human self-control. In the ensuing weeks, news of the competition circulated widely within the academy and gained traction beyond its walls, drawing the attention of military scouts who had previously disregarded aspiring candidates, fervently sought comprehensive analyses of Deathworlder training protocols. Educational bodies initiated exchange initiatives with Terran armed forces. Crucially, the Academy's syllabus integrated what they diplomatically termed flexible engagement doctrines, though everyone recognized it as human combat prowess. Commander Vexthul was inundated with requests from military leaders spanning 17 star systems, all eager to gain insights into a species capable of dedicated combat preparation. Facing unforeseen adversaries, the strategic ramifications were immense. Unlike militaries tailored to particular foes, humanity seemingly prepared to battle all. Professor Lithara's research garnered significant scholarly recognition, yet she highlighted that human combat prowess arose from exigency, not inherent belligerence. Maturation on a planet teeming with perilous life compelled humanity to forge adaptable survival tactics, which remarkably converted to interspecies discord notwithstanding. Jenna diligently pursued her studies, seemingly unfazed by the subtle upheaval her arrival had ignited. She frequented lectures, inadvertently dismantled practice gear, and fostered amiable rapport with both custodial staff and professors. The most noticeable shift: classmates no longer viewed her as a mere novelty. Instead, they sought her guidance on combat techniques. She readily obliged, stressing the paramount importance of fundamental safety measures. First rule, she declared to an assembly of zealous freshmen, should refrain from throttling others unless braced for significant repercussions, queried Keth, now a fervent combat aficionado after his cousin's revelatory ordeal. Think fractured collarbones, bruised egos, or shattered notions of genteel combat. Ironically, instructors noted the barbaric Deathworlder was now their prized restraint and tactical acumen mentor, a twist Commander Vexthul later understood. Ultimately, humans excelled at overturning predictions. Zephyr-Clethane's lineage upheld their martial heritage, embracing a broadened concept of honorable behavior. The Grand Melee persisted annually, now boasting cutting-edge medical care and refined safety measures for Deathworlder combatants. And within the Academy's archives, Professor Lithara's integration research lay dormant alongside countless other scholarly works. Surprisingly, few military masterminds who requested the report truly digested her concluding thought. Humanity's ultimate strategic edge wasn't adaptability, raw power, or innovation. It was their unwavering choice to be less ruthless than expected. In a galaxy where species flaunted supremacy through conflict, genuine disruptors revealed might through measured control.